welcome to the Startup Pregnant Podcast, where we talk to creative leaders about what it means to be an entrepreneur and a parent. I'm your host, Sarah K. Peck. Hey everyone, I wanted to tell you about a contest we are running at Startup Pregnant. So we are doing this 10 Core Values series, and for each mini episode, every day over the next 2 weeks, we are having a contest where you can win lots of amazing prizes. The prizes include one-on-one coaching, to business books by amazing women authors, to more. There's lots of fabulous goodies. The way you play is like this. At the end of each of these episodes, there is a reflection question for you to think about. So listen to the 10-minute episode and then answer the question. Go pop over to our blog at startuppregnant.com and write your answer to the question. And every time you post a comment, you get another chance to win. So the contest is open November 13th through November 30th, 2017. So I hope you enjoy. Take a listen to this episode and then go leave a comment on our blog to play in the contest. All right, we are on the last episode of our 10 core values. We are doing a series on the core values of the Startup Pregnant philosophy, and we've walked you through the first 9. Now we are on number 10. Number 10, culture change starts with stories. Stories are the first part of changing any culture. We talk a lot about making change and about rising to our potential and about becoming different through the process of starting startups, through making businesses, through doing things that haven't been done before, by becoming parents. And all of this change, however, often happens right at the moment when you start to learn what is possible and what is new and what is different. Stories are the fabric of our culture, and they're how we communicate with each other, and they're how we translate ideas about the world that we think can exist, the world that we think is possible. We start by telling stories and by painting a picture in somebody's eyes about what we believe might be possible. One of the ways that we change a culture is first by telling stories, not just about the future that we believe in, but also about the reality of the world that we live in, uncovering the bullshit and the lies or the mistruths that exist in a culture. A lot of a cultural narrative, and ours in particular in Western and American culture, has a lot of things that every woman I've talked to kind of woke up and said, wait, that's not actually true. Like, pregnancy wasn't easy for everybody, and it's not cute, and I don't like it when this happens, or my birth experience was completely different than I expected. And people wake up and realize that the stories that they held in their head or the stories they'd heard from other people weren't the entire picture. So the first thing we do when we start out on a quest for culture change and for creating new worlds is we start with the stories that are real. Then we start telling the untold stories, the ones that haven't been shared yet. And the reason why this podcast is so important to us is because we're able to give a microphone to lots of different people and share their stories, one by one, these individual experiences of what someone experienced and believed and went through. And by listening into each other's stories, we can start to create a bigger map of all of the world around us and what's going on and say, wow, there's so many new things I didn't know at first. These are all these ideas that I'm now starting to become aware of. Stories also play such an important role in our cultural fabric because empathy is the ability to understand some of the things that you might not ever be able to experience yourself. And we begin this understanding and this empathetic posture through language and through shared storytelling and by hearing the stories of other people. Transformation happens at the level of being able to hear somebody else's truth and sit with it. In our work as peers and humans, we are always, and especially now, being called to greater levels of empathy. As women, as men, as humans, in both the workplace and in our social and family structures. And by listening in and saying, well, what's true for you and what's true for me and how does that work? We can start to begin to change the patterns that maybe aren't serving us or that haven't served us or are no longer serving us. So the reflection question for this core value, for you listening in, the question I leave you with is, what stories have you held true in your life and which ones have changed over time? So when in your life did you wake up and realize that a story that you believed in or a narrative that you believed in actually wasn't true anymore for you and maybe wasn't true at all? It was just something that you thought was true and now you didn't. Talk to us about a time when your story changed or when your expectation changed. As always, go leave a comment on the blog with your reflection. So now, as we wrap up, we're going to take you through the top 10, all 10 core values of the Startup Pregnant philosophy. So over the past 10 days, we have taken you through these principles that we hold dear. And these are things we hold accountable to how we behave and show up and operate in the world. So number 1, we speak first using the words "in my experience." Starting from a place of our own experience helps us tell all the stories and not obliterate other people's perspectives and understandings, because there are so many different stories about what it means to be a parent and an entrepreneur. Number 2, there is deep power in community and collaboration. When we truly live in community with each other and we take the time to build community fabric, we grow stronger and richer and happier or less lonely together. Number 3, work-life balance is a myth. There's fit and there's tension. We want to stop striving for this false ideal of work-life balance and recognize that tension is a more accurate term, and we have to make decisions and choices in our life about what we prioritize at any given time. And the fact that life has time constraints means we have to choose and means that we won't be able to stuff it all in. And that's okay. Number 4, life is not all hard labor. Instead, it's cycles and seasons and rhythms. And there's moments of extreme exertion and there are moments of rest. They are all important. Number 5, plans are important, and things rarely go according to plan. This, some have said, seems like the very definition of motherhood. Number 6, what work looks like today is broken. We're experiencing a large backlash against work because work doesn't work for most people. It's barely working for a lot of people. And for the people that think it is working, when you look at, well, how many hours do you actually work? And what do you do to recover? And do you need 40 hours to recover from your work job? And if so, why? And are you getting paid to do that 100-hour-a-week job? We start to question the assumptions about what work looks like and realize that a lot of it isn't working. Number 7, you don't have to do things the way they've always been done. This one is so huge, and it's so critical to the invention and the birth of a new business or a new company or a new parent. We are constantly undergoing cycles of rebirth. And when we chase the startup world and we start new businesses, often it's precisely because we want to see the world look different. We want to do business in a way that hasn't been done before. And that doesn't just mean in the products and the results and the customers. It also might mean the way that we show up to do work in the first place. Number 8, your feelings matter. Feelings matter. Your emotional landscape and the emotional resilience and dexterity of humans is so important. It's a deep source of wisdom. We need to be able to name our feelings, and it is okay to have them. These are not popular ideas yet. There's so much covering up and smoothing over and polishing of the human emotional landscape. And there's so much deep discomfort around what these feeling things are. And in our work and philosophy, we believe that it is important to name, to understand, to work with, and to respect and honor our feelings. Which brings us to number 9. Most of us have a 6th gear we don't know about. This one is a closely related cousin to number 4, which is life is not all hard labor. And the idea of these seasons and cycles lend us to this idea that I love, which is that humans are so full of potential, and we are often capable of far more than we even understand of ourselves. It does not mean that we hustle at all times and there's no rest. That is not what that core value is about. It does mean, however, that there are episodes and moments and periods of our life where we can rise to the occasion and rise further than maybe we even thought we could in the first place. And we close this episode with number 10. Culture change starts with stories. We are doing these long-form interviews of amazing, brilliant women telling the untold stories of parenting, of pregnancy, of fertility, of entrepreneurship, of transformation, because we want to collect these stories and tell these stories so that when we hear other people's experiences, we either have a feeling of, oh, wow, I'm not alone, me too. Or I've never heard that before. this is fascinating. I can broaden my experience of what is actually true. Thanks so much for joining us. Go leave a comment with your reflection on these 10 core values over on our website at startuppregnant.com. There's a blog post for each of these core values. You can chime into the conversation and tell us what you thought and what sat with you. And go ahead and offer your criticism as well. We love the critique and understanding what people are responding to and resonating with, because your thoughts and comments make us smarter. And we are in the room here together, learning out loud and living it right alongside you. So thanks for listening in. And in our next episode, we will be back with our long form interviews. We have 10 amazing interviews to share with you. We cannot wait to share them. We have been recording some really powerful stories by women that we have so many that we need to get out that I am so excited to share with you, and beyond honored that women have taken the time to sit for 45 minutes to an hour and share some of their innermost experiences, worries, concerns, hopes, and dreams, and all of it. Can't wait to see you on the next episode. Thanks so much for tuning in.